Hi everyone, thanks for joining us on our casual coffee chat to discuss Viva knowledge management and Viva topics. So just a quick acknowledgement of country. We'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we are meeting today. The Cloud Collective pays our respects to elders past, present and emerging, and the Aboriginal elders of other communities who may be here today as well. Just to introduce myself, my name's Vanessa. I'm a principal consultant at Antara Solutions in the Modern Work team. I specialise in Teams, SharePoint, information management, and all good things Microsoft 365. So a quick agenda for today. We will go through a little bit about knowledge management and why it's important to foster knowledge and expertise. And then we'll give a bit of an overview of how Microsoft is tackling management of knowledge through AI-driven topics, Viva Topics, and the kind of capabilities that's available in that toolset. We'll also provide some tips on how you can go about adopting Viva Topics and adopting a knowledge-driven culture within your organization. And then we'll open it up for some questions and answers or discussion later in the session. So it's a nice quick one, just half an hour that we'll be going through today. So just to get started, why is knowledge important? So we do live in an information age. Our data is growing every day, and including, files and other information that people may be collating. In fact, at the Microsoft 365 conference keynote in April earlier this year in 2022, Microsoft's Jeff Tepper was noting that there's been about 100 petabytes of new content added monthly to the Microsoft 365 services in SharePoint Online overall, and about 8 million new active SharePoint sites per month. That's a lot of information that we're all collating within our respective Microsoft 365 tenancies, and that's all going into SharePoint in various forms of information. So being able to collate and find that information and the knowledge that comes with it is really hard. When you get to that kind of scale, you have lots of information becoming obsolete or irrelevant. Being able to find that information can be quite tricky. In addition to that, everybody has some kind of knowledge or skill to do with their work that we want to be able to share with others and kind of foster a collective knowledge culture. So I want to go through some scenarios of what we commonly see when it comes to knowledge management, some of the challenges that people experience. So some of these things might sound familiar to you. This one, I spent an hour looking for a document and I couldn't find it, and I ended up just asking someone. And that's basically, contributing to, again, that growth of information and knowledge that people are creating and being able to find it. And, if it's all over the place, it's going to be hard to find. This is another really familiar one. So Joe was an expert about a tool or a customer or a project, but he's left the organization. And what we've seen is this has been compounded by, COVID and the Great Resignation. A lot of people or a lot of organizations are losing their domain knowledge and skills when a person departs the organization. So we want to be able to capture any knowledge that's, in that person's head. And we want to be able to easily transfer that information to new starters as well. Here's another familiar one. We tried setting up a knowledge base, but it was overwhelming and it was never properly adopted. And this goes back to, I guess, habits and a culture and people's behavior. It can be difficult to change people's behavior or their habits. It can be overwhelming to kind of go from, just doing, your daily tasks and the status quo, to actually changing to something where you're actually documenting and sharing your knowledge. So what Viva does is it tries to take some of the legwork out of that by through crowdsourcing and using AI to kind of automatically curate information and knowledge for people. Here's another familiar one. So when I first started, I didn't know where anything was. I would have loved to have had a place that directed me to the right information and files to learn about a particular topic. So again, with the Great Resignation, that's all about losing of knowledge and skills, but also the time it takes for a person to be brought up to speed when they start a new role. So being able to have that information easily accessible, easily findable, is really valuable to help increase a person's productivity when they first start. So how Viva Topics helps with some of these challenges is through AI driven knowledge. So that's through a helpful assistant that will reason over your content. It will go and curate various topics and articles to try and organize content into a given topic. So that may be descriptions, it may be people or files or relationships to other topics to try and create a knowledge base for people to search for information. So Viva Topics does help you by automatically creating and updating these pages based on the information it curates. And the best thing is it also can hook into your existing business taxonomies to generate those topics. So if you're using the term store in SharePoint, or even if you're using Yammer and you've got topics kind of being generated there, Viva Topics will automatically or help you align with those taxonomies to curate knowledge and information. And like everything with Microsoft, it is integrated with all the other tool sets, Microsoft Search, SharePoint, integration with Teams is maturing, and even coming in Outlook, you'll be able to kind of curate or find these topics through your Outlook client. So what we're also seeing is tighter integration coming into Teams as well. So for example, if you're discussing a particular project or process, you'll be able to link to that relevant topic page all within your Teams chat or channels posts. So this is something that unfortunately I won't be able to show today because I can't get it in my tenant yet, but it is something that is rolling out at the moment to various tenants. Very exciting feature, that one. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to jump into a bit of a demo of what Viva Topics looks like and how it can kind of help. So to start with, I'm in a SharePoint site called Operations, and I'm in a page that talks about expanding our business. And so this is just a bit of a blurb, usual SharePoint page content, where we're announcing our digital services initiative. You can see there's a little help call out here. This is actually quite new. This wasn't there last week. So this helps people kind of see and learn about what Viva Topics is doing here. But if I hover over that little underlined digital services initiative, you can actually see it opens a pop-out to a Viva Topics page. And what it's showing is a bit of a blurb of that particular topic. It's showing people who are connected to that topic, the resources that is relevant to that topic, as well as any other related topics that might have a relationship with it. So if I just click this link here, that's going to take me to my Viva Topics Center. And this is essentially a special type of SharePoint site that you configure when you roll out Viva Topics. And a topic page shows the full spectrum of information that we saw in that little pop-out before. So I can see the title of my topic. I can also see any alternative names. So we know that people use different terminology for different things. So they may say, well, the Digital Services Initiative could also be called the Digital Services Project. You might have a little bit of a short description. This is really interesting because if you say, for example, have a customer or a company as a topic, Viva Topics can actually go to documents or even things like sources like Wikipedia to get information to provide a pre-baked description for you. We've got people who've been pinned. So these are people who have contributed to resources or they may have some history with this project. We've got our pinned and suggested files and pages. So what I've done is I've actually gone and pinned these particular files because they are a source of truth for this particular piece of knowledge. But then any other suggested files and pages may be useful to a person to get more context. And this is where you see the interaction between the helpful assistant suggesting files for you. The AI is going and finding those terms and kind of suggesting this information versus a person, an actual person who's gone in and said, I select these files, this information as a source of truth, an authoritative source of knowledge about this particular topic. I've also got my pinned and suggested sites. So we know with the advent of Teams and just SharePoint in general, we may have several sites that contain knowledge or information relating to a particular topic. So here we'll be able to navigate to those given sites. And then we also have related topics that have a relationship to this information. So there's a feature coming that will actually automate this process. So Viva Topics will actually go and curate relationships for you based on all the good interactions that you get from the Microsoft Graph. But you can also add these relationships yourself. And this is where you can kind of click through to another topic page about better delivery, one of your processes or methodologies, and kind of get into the same kind of information that we have for this given topic page. So you can also, if you were in SharePoint, you'd be able to, click on these pages here. If you wanted to find something, so say for example, I'm on my SharePoint homepage and I just wanted to find something to do with, let's say, retail operations. So what that's going to show me is some learning pages. Actually, let me just double check I've done that right. Sorry. What I actually wanted to look for was regional sales. So regional sales, I've said, well, I might be a new starter wanting to learn about the regional sales process. And what has come up when I've searched for this is all the usual files. And even if you've got Viva Learning, your learning modules. But this topic page up the top here is actually showing a topic page for regional sales. And it's asking me whether Christine Klein is actually connected to this topic. So this is the crowdsourcing side of things that's coming into play, where you can actually say, well, yes, Viva Topics, Christine is related to this, and I'm going to click yes and contribute to that piece of knowledge. So if I go through to this regional sales page, again, I'll be able to see my topic page. You can see there's a bit of a descriptor, and that's coming from a particular document that is stored in SharePoint. We've got our suggested people and all the good stuff that we saw before. Now, if I wanted to go in and actually make some changes, it's the same experience like with any other modern SharePoint page. So I can go in and edit this page. I can maybe pin some people and say, well, I want to confirm that Megan is attached to this topic and so is Christine. So they're now pinned people and I can republish my pages. Now, what you can also do is start to manage and curate your topics. So as a topic manager, and this is again something as part of your rollout, you'll be defining who your knowledge managers are, or your contributors to knowledge. You would be basically going into here and confirming various topics that you might be attached to, or removing yourself from various topics. As a knowledge manager, you can go into the Manage Topics page and see all the topics that have been curated by Viva, and you can confirm or remove these as sources of information as well. So if I want to confirm that Northwind is a customer, but maybe this product is the NCV 1000, 10,000 is obsolete, I want to remove that, I would basically be going in and curating all of this knowledge, and helping Viva Topics confirm what is relevant and what's not. So what we've identified as well is that there's various different scenarios that come with Viva Topics. And this might be related to projects or customers, products. If you're a product-oriented organization, it may even be related to certain sales or opportunities, or even your processes and methodologies. Um, so that's as part of your kind of adoption and rollout planning. We'd be identifying those scenarios and then, targeting them so as to, make sure that we're getting maximum impact for Viva Topics, and maybe even piloting, rolling this out to a given part of your business. So in terms of what's coming, Viva Topic's been around for a little while now, but there's some really exciting features that are really kind of embedding that integration and alignment with your current information management processes. So the big one, which is really exciting for me, is being able to add topics to chat messages and display those topic cards in Microsoft Teams. So that's currently in preview, and that's, like I said before, rolling out to tenants as we speak. The automatic topic relationships, that started rolling out in June, so that should be something that we see very soon as well. Now, this has been a big ask ever since I started talking about Viva Topics, was being able to support categories of types of topics. So if you've got, a few hundred different topics and bits of knowledge across your organization, being able to categorize them to your scenarios is a really big one that is going to have a lot of impact. So that's due for general availability this month, or sorry, in July actually. So that should be rolling out very soon. We've also just had one question, which is, can we have multiple topic centers to make them specific to our business verticals? So kind of really kind of segregating again, the categorization of your topics. So currently at the moment, you can only have one topic center per tenant. Um, there's not anything on the roadmap as yet, but we know that that's actually been a pretty common request that I've seen. So hopefully we'll see something in the roadmap about that in the coming months. Fingers crossed. So a couple of other things that we're also seeing in the roadmap that are coming out. One that's really important is being able to create segments of topics based on your sites or your information architecture. So for those who have a defined information management methodology or model or framework in their SharePoint environment, being able to create those different topics based on that information architecture would be really valuable. The other thing that you can do is create, that you'll be able to do in September, is look at your topic engagement analytics. So really see what impact people are, your topics are having on people, and really understand, what kind of knowledge people are looking for. And again, to add to that, that analytics side of things is your NPS sentiment insights into topics. That'll be available to IT administrators as well. So again, this is all about aligning to your current business processes, getting good insights into how people are curating their knowledge and interacting with the knowledge that you're creating for people. So, in terms of some tips for adopting Viva Topics, so the first thing that we've really learned from this is just like with any other knowledge management system, we want to identify the key scenarios that are going to have the biggest impact to your organization. And that may be different depending on, what your priorities are and what people are looking for in terms of information. So that might be things like customers or projects, or even particular knowledge around particular products or processes or methodologies. A key tip that I've learned from that is there's going to be some scenarios that are going to be higher impact than others. And so taking a gradual approach to rolling out something like this, Rome wasn't built in a day, uh, identifying those high impact scenarios and targeting those first is a really good way to kind of have that maximum impact without overwhelming people. You also need to identify your team. So as part of a topics rollout, there's various stakeholders that are going to be involved. Your topic contributors, obviously people who can view topics, particularly if you're piloting topics to start with. You're going to need to assign a knowledge manager who is going to oversee and drive the rollout as well. And they're going to be the person who, curates the topics in the knowledge center, in the topic center as well. And then from an IT perspective, we definitely obviously also need an admin who's going to, set everything up, decide which parts of SharePoint will be curated. So a key question as well that we've just had come through is how will topics save me time? So the biggest thing is probably in the short term, it's able to help you save time by automatically curating all the different topics and knowledge that you have floating around in your SharePoint environment today. So that really helps with saving on, having to come up with different topics or being overwhelmed by that kind of daunting task. And then basically, as a helpful assistant is able to uh, suggest things that you basically just fill in or confirm or remove. In the long term, having a knowledge culture in your organization and having this knowledge curated is going to save people time when they're trying to look for contextual or relevant information to them, be they whether it's a new starter or a person transferring across the business, or maybe they're just looking for domain expertise and subject matter expertise in a particular topic, and they want to start with reading about that rather than taking up another person's time. So another hot tip is starting small. So we have lots of knowledge and information in our organization, and it can be overwhelming. So we want to, consider things like a pilot or a particular scenario to prioritize, or even choose particular content locations in SharePoint that you want to start with, so that we don't overwhelm people. And then you can gradually build upon that as you build your knowledge culture. So how we can kind of help is that focus on adoption. We do have a Viva Suite assessment at Antares to help you prioritize and roadmap the different Viva products and how that might help you. We can help with the rollout, but also the piloting and the consultation required with the business to identify your scenarios and alignment with your, your information architecture, your business taxonomies. And not to forget the one of the most important things for something like this, which is adoption. So being able to really embed becoming a knowledge-driven organization within your culture, and we do that through ongoing change and adoption activities. So that's absolutely something that we can help with. Okay, so just to finish up, we'll just see if there's any other questions to come through. So we've had one question here about, is Viva Topics free? So that's a really good question. At the moment, it is add-on licensing to your SharePoint or E3, Microsoft 365 E3 or E5 licensing. So that's at about, I think it's $4 per month at the moment. Or if you're considering other products in the Viva Suite, there is Viva Suite licensing as well at around $9 per month, per user per month. And so that's kind of why we came up with the Viva Suite assessment offering, so to help you prioritize if you were going to go for the more cost-effective option of, in adopting the Microsoft's employee experience platform, where you get things like Viva Insights, Viva Goals, Viva Topics. That can really help you kind of prioritize which one of those kind of come into play first for you. So we've just had one other question around Viva Topics in Teams chat or posts. So yes, you'll be able to see your Viva Topics Viva Topics in your chat and posts, like this little example here, where we're hovering over a topic in a Teams chat. So that will be available very, very soon as we speak. It is actively rolling out, and it is in preview at the moment. Are there any other questions? Right. I think one other really interesting question that I've had in the past as well, just to note, so does Topics integrate with Yammer? And this is a one I really love. So I mentioned before that you can integrate with your business taxonomies. In the same way, you can create topics in Yammer, which are, a little bit more freeform than your SharePoint term store. But they are valid topics that you may want to curate knowledge on. The really cool feature is that you can also create, if you have questions and answers in your Yammer threads related to a particular topic, that will also be able to get shown on your topic page as well. So you're kind of bringing together all the discussions and knowledge that comes through on a particular topic, whether that be in SharePoint or in Yammer. Okay. So we've just had another really good question. So how does Viva Topics protect security of content? And that's a really good question. So when you are looking at various topics in your Viva Topics Center, like these, or even if you were to look at these topic pages here, it does respect the permissions of the source SharePoint files for against a particular topic. So if I was to go into Northwind and I see these suggestive files, if Joe Blogs didn't have access to some of the SharePoint sites where these files are located, like operations or the Contoso shared documents, then they wouldn't see those files. So it's all about respecting the permissions of the source information. And if you don't have access to it, you won't see it on the topic page. Okay, great. So I think we're just about out of time. So thanks for your time, everyone. And if you do have any other questions or anything like that, feel free to reach out to us. Otherwise, hope you have a great day and enjoy your coffee.